in that little triangle three in the middle, he's used to being CDM, so he's quite deep. But this game, he was able to have more freedom on the ball because he was pushing forward as that cam position, which CDM, I feel like he played that with West Ham. He plays that with England. We're giving him that freedom. So he was pushing so far up the pitch, and it was bound to happen that he was getting in that box and he was creating those chances. Did not see him getting those free kicks, but the fact that he was able to get close enough and prove like, yeah, I should be doing this. Honestly, so good, so good. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Lise. It's been a little bit of time since I last did one. It's actually only been 9 days, which isn't that long, but I think I'm quite hard on myself because I said I wanted to do one every week, and I pretty much have. I mean, the last few weeks I feel like I've done almost a few, so then it's overlapped with them being like maybe every 5 days or something. But it has been a while compared to previous episodes. So the reasoning, in case you wondered, is that I was actually away in Barcelona for a few days. I took a break from work, which was really nice, and it was actually really fun watching that Real Madrid game out in Barcelona with the Barca fans, but I'm going to get onto that more in a bit. And then when I came back, I'm a little bit under the weather, as you can probably hear in my voice, which is like a fun ear infection vibe, but I'm doing better. I was back at work this morning and I was like, you know what, let me film a episode today because I'm feeling better. But I was hoping to do one before Barca ran out of time, and then I was like, oh, I'll do one a couple of days ago, but I was in bed. It was like a sick day off school for like 2-3 days in a row, so yeah, wasn't feeling the best, but I'm back now and we do have a lot of football to catch up on. Obviously some of the games seem a little bit more outdated now because we've got one very important game that's just happened, which I'm still shocked about. I think everyone, not even if you're just a goon, I think everyone's just shocked about this game. So we're going to kind of go into more detail on just that game, but then I want to briefly touch on every game just because I've covered every game, so I might as well keep that going, as we've only got like a month left of the season, which is pretty crazy. So we're going to get into that. Also, just seeing on my phone that Slegers has got Manager of the Month for the second month in a row, which, you know, is so encouraging. So I feel like it's been a good time. There's been a lot to catch up on. But before I carry on waffling, let's get straight into this episode because, yeah, there's a lot to unpack and most of it will be quite brief because your girl's feeling it a little bit, you know? We've all seen those free kicks. I really don't think there's any point in me trying to explain what they look like. All we know is that it's never been done before, unreal, and rice, baby. Because honestly, okay, anyways, before I hype up too much, actually, you know what? It deserves the hype. It 100% deserves that hype. But before I go into the actual details of it, because I'll do that later on when I talk about the game itself, I decided to base the warm-up poll around this. I mean, I didn't really know what to do it as because I didn't want it to do it as, oh, can we win the Champions League? Can we not? Like, that sort of vibe, because I feel like every week we're sort of going back and forth and minds are changing and people, the minute the team's scoring, we're like, oh my God, we're going to win everything. And then suddenly you lose and it's like, oh, we're actually losing everything. So, like, I didn't want it to be like that. I wanted it to be a bit more fun. So I decided to do the warm-up poll as which free kick is the best free kick, basically. And most media outlets nicely put together reels where you'd have the first free kick at the top of the screen, second one at the bottom. Beautiful. So I did the poll. I split it into three because there's an option where you could click the first one was the best free kick, the second one's the best free kick, or you can't pick because they're both unreal. And I think from that reaction you could tell which one I went with. But the poll results show that 10% of you said the first free kick was best, 70% of you said the second free kick was best, and 20% of you, which I agree with, said that you can't pick which free kick was best because both were unreal. And honestly, I literally cannot pick. I mean, bend it like rice is that phrase that has been thrown around, and honestly, I agree with it because, I don't know, I think the first one, it went in and that, how he bent it round, the atmosphere it created, that was crazy because I was like, wait, first half we didn't really do too much, second half I was like, oh my God, something's happening. Then suddenly the second free kick happened, I went, okay, that's even more impressive because it didn't just happen once, it happened twice. Like the fact that, you know, it just felt so good once, he had to do it twice. All them phrases, sorry, they're literally stuck in my head. I feel like all these phrases, we're gonna dish out all these rice phrases. Sorry, I'm gonna stop. But the second one I feel like was almost more impressive because of the angling of it. I do feel like everyone just moved out of the way, but I'm not complaining. It found the back of the net. But I do feel like, the second one maybe was a little bit more impressive because it happened for a second time. The angle was slightly different. But overall, I just feel like the fact of these both happened and separately, when you look at these free kicks separately, they are so incredible in their own right that I think I can't actually comment on which one's better. So I'm going to have to agree with 20% of you, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it is the second highest option. I do understand why a lot of you went for the second free kick though. And to be fair, it's a bit cheeky from me making you guys have to pick. But I'm just very impressed, and I don't want to waffle anymore in this section because we've got a lot to catch up on. We've got 2 Premier League fixtures before that to get back to, which happened literally like last week, not even that long ago, but feels like ages ago. And then obviously we have to talk about the Champions League game, which I've alluded to a lot already in the first 5-10 minutes of this episode. And then we've got predictions for 3 games that are happening this week, so not even at the weekend, just during the week, midweek games, which it's kind of crazy, but this is what happens when you're reaching the final stages of the Champions League, which honestly us Gooners love to see. So stay tuned. Arsenal 2, Fulham 1, Arsenal 1, Everton 1, Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. There's a lot for us to unpack over the last 9 days, so let me get into it. I do feel like I sound like I'm hitting puberty or something with my voice right now. So yeah, hope you're really enjoying this, especially if you're an audio listener, because it's just amazing. Anyways, obviously that's a lot of men's football there. I mean, that's 3 games in 9 days, but that is because Arsenal women are on their international break. So, I mean, obviously, as someone who supports Lionesses, I've been closely following the England women's national team and doing pretty decent. A few youngsters performing. To be fair, I feel like a lot of youngsters have taken over this season, 100%. So it's really good to see that. The only thing, actually, just a bit of a side note, didn't actually schedule this in for this episode, but the only thing that I'm a bit confused about is why is there an international break when we've literally got like a month left of football, because there's so many injuries. I mean, Miedemar's been injured. That's a blow for City because they need to get in that top 3 spot, and now they're pretty much guaranteed to be 4th because they have Bunny Shaw out as well. Then LJ is like being sort of examined because she's sort of picked up a few injuries from the international break. That's a big blow for Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, I feel like Chelsea have enough players, but you do need players like that just to see you over the line, especially when they're actually pretty much on track to get the quadruple. Like, they need to have their squad fully fit. And then obviously Arsenal, bring it back to Arsenal, we've got a few injuries now, and it's just like really frustrating because I don't understand why it's had to happen. But they will be back in football next week with whatever players are not injured, basically. But before I carry on waffling about that, even though it's a very important topic to cover, we are going to talk about Arsenal, obviously, because it's the Arsenal Humans podcast. And let's start with the first game, which was Arsenal 2, Fulham 1. I did predict it to be 2-0, not too far off, so big up me. Really going to keep these brief, the first couple games, if I can. And firstly, there's a few points for each. Saka was back. Saka scored on his return, and he has been out since December. Is that right? Yeah, he's been out since December, which is actually mental. But he's back. He scored. He found that score sheet, and also it was kind of cute to see him with Smith Rowe, who's obviously now at Fulham. So it's like cute to see them and how they've played together for a while. So yeah, just very cute to see that. Marino also scored, which kind of just like, he keeps proving that he's firstly really good at adapting. Also, Arteta's made a good choice when everyone kind of was a bit like, what's going on? And thirdly, he wants that spot in the squad, and I actually don't see why he shouldn't have that striker role, because he keeps proving weekly why he should be there. Yes, maybe when he's actually in play, how he sort of goes to receive the ball, you can tell he's maybe more of a midfielder than the out-and-out striker, but he's fine in the back of the net, and as long as he keeps doing that and those other things you can work on when you've got the foundational skills, it's all good, man. It was also really good in this game, just to touch on it, surrounding the goals. Waneri and Martinelli got the assists, so they helped create both goals. And it was good to see firstly Martinelli back on that vibe, because I feel like he's sort of been a bit forgotten about. He's dropped off a little bit. People have been like, oh, we don't really have anyone on the wing. And I'm like, oh, like a couple of seasons back, he was literally one of our main top players. And now we're like, yeah, okay, like he's sort of whatever. So it was good to see him getting back into his vibe. And I feel like recently he has been, which is good. And obviously, as I've been saying previously, the youngsters carrying this squad. So it's really good to see that Ethan Waneri is back, contributing to them goals, and the future is definitely looking bright for the Gunners, so I'm very happy about that. Moving on to the next game, Arsenal 1, Everton 1. I don't know how. I mean, I predicted it to be 3-1. I know, obviously, David Moyes took over Everton, and like he's turned this around. A lot of good has happened since this move, since his arrival, but I didn't expect this. I predicted a 3-1 win, and I did not expect it to end up being a draw. Trossard did find himself on the score sheet, which I feel like is a positive from it, but it's just a bit frustrating getting a draw at this point in the season. I mean, obviously, we're not going to catch up with Liverpool. I know that, but I feel like we kind of wanted to go at least with a bit of a fight, if that makes sense. And we're 11 points behind because they ended up losing to, I'm pretty sure it was Fulham actually a couple of weeks back. So I feel like if we ended up winning, then we could have narrowed that gap and like just proved why we definitely have that second spot, but maybe could push and just fight for it a little bit. But then, don't get me wrong. I feel like we had bigger things to focus on this week. So we'll take a draw. It wasn't quite a loss, so we'll take that because we're still in second. And the bigger thing we had to focus on, the game we've all been waiting to talk about, which I don't think anyone has stopped talking about, and I think it's safe to say no one expected it to turn out how it did. Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. Honestly, Meds, I still can't believe I'm saying that because I've realised we've only played them 3 times and we've not actually lost to them. I think we've like won once, drawn once, and then obviously won this game. I really felt like we had played them more. I don't know why, but my knowledge of the men's game, I wasn't as much of a hardcore fan growing up. And then obviously, if you go even further back before I was alive, how am I meant to know what happened then? So yeah, my knowledge, I was like, oh, maybe we've played. And then I suddenly, like, building up to the game, I was like, wait, this is actually a massive, massive game. I mean, obviously, I knew the reputation that Real Madrid have in the Champions League. And I was like, reputation where? Like, honestly, we dominated that. Firstly, I was out in Barcelona, as I said, obviously, in my intro. And watching it with Barca fans was so fun because obviously we all have that mutual thing of we don't want Real Madrid to win. So none of them actually supported Arsenal, but we were all supporting the same cause. It was more of a hate watch for them. I feel like hate watches are quite common now. I've been to my fair share of hate watches recently, been to a lot of Chelsea women games. So I'm very much on that trend of hate watches. But this Barca hate watch for Real Madrid was so fun. And first half, bit dead. There was like 1 or 2 chances for either side. And then suddenly, second half came alive. And literally, the men replicated exactly what the women's side did. Because first half at the Emirates, this was the second leg though. So I feel like it kind of meant more for the women's side because we needed 3 goals. Whereas the men, it's sort of like, now there's so much pressure when we go to Real Madrid this upcoming week. But I'm going to get into that in a bit. But anyways, it literally replicated what the women's side did because within 15 minutes they scored and within 15 minutes we scored 3, and it was actually crazy. But not only is it crazy that we've won, not only is it crazy that we're going to Real Madrid in the second leg of a quarterfinals of the Champions League with the advantage, but how the goals happened. I mean, obviously I touched upon it in the warm-up poll. 2 of the goals were free kicks by Declan Rice, not just 1 but 2. Mad. I don't know why Rice hasn't been taking free kicks sooner. Like, I mean, you watch him with other set pieces, like corners, for instance, and how he whips the ball in it. Obviously, we were known as Corner FC for quite a few weeks. I feel like you could probably still put that title to us. I mean, could be Free Kick FC at this point, but I feel like we had a lot of stuff going for us at that point, and I think people forget that Rice was a big part of that. And now it just makes sense. Like, I wouldn't have, like, going into this game, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, Rice is going to score a free kick, let alone two, or oh, we should put Rice on free kicks. But now he's done it, it actually makes so much sense when you look back at the season. I'm like, oh, okay, fair. Like it just makes so much sense. So I'm very happy for him. You could just tell the passion and what it's done. And I think this just proves that Rice should be captain in the future. Don't get me wrong, Martin Odegaard, I love what he's doing. I feel like he's almost becoming how Kim Little is in the women's side, where they're a little bit more reserved. Like, you can tell they've got their impact, but they don't have to be the ones always getting the goals. They do every so often, but I feel like in this game it was all about Rice, and he definitely, as you saw when he played West Ham and he got them their first trophy in God knows how many years, he proves that he has those leadership qualities. And not only can you see that through how he treats the players and how he interacts with everyone, and as well as the fans, he's got so much respect and admiration, and likes connecting with the fans, which is really promising to see. But also what he does on the pitch, and yeah, him getting 2 free kicks, like, mental. Not only was it just about his free kicks, so I think if we get rid of them for 1 sec, which I know is very hard because I just keep rewatching the same free kick over and over again, thinking, has this actually happened? Which I know is a universal experience for Arsenal fans right now. But what he did off the ball, he was so progressive, and I do think that's because of the formation, because in that little triangle three in the middle, he's used to being CDM, so he's quite deep. But this game, he was able to have more freedom on the ball because he was pushing forward as that cam position, which CDM, I feel like he played that with West Ham, he plays that with England. We're giving him that freedom. So he was pushing so far up the pitch, and it was bound to happen that he was getting in that box and he was creating those chances. Did not see him getting those free kicks, but the fact that he was able to get close enough and prove, like, yeah, I should be doing this, honestly, so good, so good. Okay, so that's super rude. My camera just cut out because I had been obviously waffling for too long about that one game, but as you can tell, absolutely buzzing about it. Still can't believe it happened. But let's get on to some predictions. I'm very conscious that I need this to go up soon because one of the games is basically kicking off now. So I want to try and get this out before the game's done. Arsenal versus Brentford today in the Premier League. Obviously, all our eggs are in the Champions League basket. Premier League is not on our mind right now, but we still don't want to get complacent, and we still don't want to suddenly drop lower down, because if the Champions League doesn't really work out, then, it's a bit awkward. So I'm going to predict... I mean, actually, firstly, it's quite funny, all the memes that have come out about this game, basically saying how Arteta shouldn't even be managing, none of our players should be starting, like, we're going to have some random players that people didn't even know still exist at the club, basically, because they've been on the bench or they're just injured or whatever. We should have all of them playing. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that's going to be too far off the truth. I do feel like we're going to play a lot of players that people have been like, oh, forgot you played at Arsenal sort of vibe. And that is obviously because we were focused on Wednesday night. So I'm going to say we're not going to lose, but I'm not too confident we're going to win. And I don't really care if we draw this game, because obviously lose, I think that's a bit embarrassing. But if we win on Wednesday, and as long as we get through to semi-finals, then I don't really care, because second place was still being for the Premier League. And as long as I think we get Champions League for next season anyways, then it's calm. So I'm going to go with Arsenal 1, Brentford 1 today. And we'll find out very, very soon, in about an hour, if that's right or wrong. Actually, in a couple of hours. And then Arsenal versus Leicester City is in the WSL on Tuesday. It's at 7:30 p.m. and it's kind of a bit of a weird timing. I think it's just because obviously this weekend is the Women's FA Cup, which we're not in anymore, so hence why I haven't really spoken about that. We have just found out that Chelsea are through to the final, which is a big shock. And obviously tomorrow's the Manchester derby, so we'll find out what team will be facing them, and hopefully they can beat them, whichever team it is. But with all the injuries recently, who knows how that will turn out. But I guess that basically is why the schedule's sort of a bit all over the gaff. Would hate to have that job because I feel like there's so many fixtures to try and fit in. But yeah, that is happening on Tuesday. I mean, Leicester are struggling in the WSL. Arsenal are not. We're not looking like we're going to win, but we need to go out on a high, basically. And we've only got like 4 or 5 games left, which is kind of crazy. So actually, we might even have even less. I think I'm including some Champions League games in that. I think, yeah, we probably only have like 3 or 4 games left. So I'm going to go with a cheeky, because it is home as well, cheeky 3-0 win. I reckon we can keep that clean sheet on Tuesday. And Wednesday, I'd love to say the same thing. I do feel like at Real Madrid, Arsenal will basically have 9 men sat in defence, Marino as the striker, and then Raya in the net. I genuinely feel like that could be our formation. And I wouldn't be opposed to that. If it means that we get through, then that is all good. I feel like it is going to be a bit of a hard watch. I do see Real Madrid scoring, sadly. Score predictions. I actually do see it being like a 2-1 Real Madrid. So we'd still go through. Obviously, Real Madrid have to get 4 goals to basically go through. Which I don't see that happening. A few people have been saying it's going to happen. And I was like, are you trying to wind me up because I will scrap? Or do you actually see that happening? Because obviously they're on home turf. But I think for Real Madrid, their biggest weakness is their defence. Obviously, we've just lost Gabriel, but Kivior stepped up. I do feel like our defence wasn't really put under too much pressure because we were so strong in other places on the pitch. Like I mentioned before, Rice being more free up the pitch, I'd say, is a nice way to describe it. Kind of helped us because he could sort of go in and out in between that defence. What is the sort of phrasing, like travel with the ball, get the ball and travel up the pitch to Marino or whoever is up at the top. So yeah, I see us having a very strong squad for that, and I do see it being a 2-1 win, and I do see Arsenal going through the semi-finals of the Champions League. Who knows if we'll be able to make it through to the final. I'm trying to think. Everyone's saying they see Barca in the final. Why can't it be Arsenal-Barca? I mean, who knows? Who knows? That'll be a tough game. Oh my God, I'd love to watch that live, like in person, like actually at the stadium, but getting tickets is so hard. And I saw so many reels actually recently about how much people have paid for their tickets, and some people are paying like $2,000, and I was like, babes, I don't have that money. I did not have that money. I've actually just got my tickets for the Women's Champions League semi-final at the Emirates against Lyon, which is happening next weekend, and I'll preview that just before it at the end of this week in the next episode, because I'm going to give you guys 2 this week just to make up for the lack of one last week. And there's a lot of fixtures as well, so it's nice to split it out. Anyways, I just paid for that, and the tickets like £15 each. £15 to go to a semi-final, and then people are paying like $2,000 to go to quarterfinal. It is crazy. So if you want to go and watch football, high quality football, and potentially Arsenal reach the final. Wait, oh no, it won't be decided by this game. I mean, it could be if we suddenly win like 5-0, but Lyon look really tough. But if you want to go see high quality football, which will contribute potentially to a final spot in the Champions League, then get yourself a ticket. I think there's still loads of tickets left anyways, and they are cheap, a lot cheaper than the men's. So definitely it's a good vibe, good day out at the Emirates. And yeah, I don't know why I've started advertising for Arsenal. Let me get back on track with the pod. I feel like I've sort of wrapped up a lot in this episode, but I'm hoping it's been all right to listen to and to watch. Perfect. That is the end of this episode. I hope my voice hasn't been too annoying, because I'm literally like can't breathe out my nose right now basically. So I hope that hasn't been too annoying to listen to and to watch. I hope you're feeling summery vibes with my sunnies. I brought them recently, and yeah, I just feel like it's just giving a vibe. I mean, to be fair, I've always had lots of pairs of these, but I either lose them or break them if I go out, which is really responsible for me. Anyways, that is so much waffle. You do not need to hear. But that is the end of this episode. I want to know if you think we can actually win the Champions League. So comment down if you think we can, and if you enjoyed this episode, please give me a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe. I mean, I'm trying to reach the milestone of 400 subscribers by the end of the season. Maybe even a cheeky 500, but I don't want to push it. So we're gonna aim for 400 and hope that happens. Gonna put it out there to manifest it. So yeah, if you do enjoy it, don't just watch it, like it, subscribe, comment down below, anything based off the video, and then yeah, if you're listening on Spotify, please follow me on that. I don't really post as much on Spotify, to be fair. I feel like I should a bit more. But anyways, thank you for watching this episode, and I'm going to give you one at the end of this week, just ahead of those weekend fixtures, and hopefully I'll be saying that Arsenal are through to the semi-finals of the Men's Champions League, just like the women. Let's hope. I mean, they did copy them once with the 3-0 result at the Emirates, so let's hope it can happen again this week.